Did you know more people vanish at sea than any other place on Earth? In this video, we dive into 10 terrifying shipwrecks and sea monsters. Stick around. Number 1 is beyond belief. Inshallah. Number 10, the HMS Erebus and Terror, Arctic ghost ships. In 1845, Sir John Franklin led 2 Royal Navy ships, the HMS Erebus and Terror, into the Arctic in search of the Northwest Passage. They vanished without a trace. Over the next decades, whispers spoke of skeletal figures treading across ice fields and cries for help swallowed by the gale. Inuit witnesses later described seeing European sailors stumbling across pack ice, walking backward, with glazed black eyes and lips blue from cold, but still speaking in unknown tongues. Archaeologists uncovered preserved bodies in the ice decades later, their instruments intact, journals half-burned, and their bones showing signs of lead poisoning. Combined with something else, a staggering unnatural scale. Claw marks across one hull, deep gouges that no sawmill could have carved. Pay attention, it gets chilling. Divers exploring the wrecks in 2014 reported periods of eerie static on all electronics as they approached the hulks. Cameras captured faint outlines of figures drifting just out of sight, only to vanish when divers tried to focus. Here's the twist. Here's a twist. Inuit oral tradition describes these vessels as cursed by spirits of the whale, guardians of the deep, exacting punishment on intruders. Is it disease, madness, or something ancient enforcing Arctic law? Cliffhanger. Could the spirits of those ships still guard their captains, silent sentinels frozen in eternal watch? Number 9, SS Bechimo, the ghost ship that roams. In 1931, the steel-hulled cargo ship SS Bechimo became trapped in Arctic ice, abandoned by its crew. Yet over the next 38 years, it was repeatedly sighted, floating ghost-like through pack ice off Alaska's coast, with nobody aboard. Sightings by Inuit hunters and whalers described the ship drifting into fjords as if guided, and disappearing into the mist before they could board. Twists and curious events followed. In 1969, a Coast Guard team found the Bechimo grounded, still in freezing condition, but abandoned. They boarded, found food still on tables, and journals open to yesterday. When they returned an hour later, the ship had vanished, back into the ice. Here's a twist. Satellite imagery taken in 1980 caught a faint steel outline drifting near ice floes, 3 decades after abandonment. A maritime researcher who boarded then described hearing muffled voices echo through empty corridors, even with no wind. What kind of phantom vessel keeps sailing, even without crew? Cliffhanger. Could the Bechimo be eternally crewed by phantoms, or is it prey to forces beyond polar logic? Number 8, USS Thresher, the silent death beneath the waves.
7:35, 9 p.m. 000006.
In 1963, the experimental submarine USS Thresher vanished off Cape Cod during deep dive tests. 35 crew members were lost, and the bow never returned to the surface. The official cause? Catastrophic piping system failure and implosion under pressure. But here's where the mystery deepens. Undersea vibrational sensors detected. Strange, rhythmic pings and tapping at the wreck site, before and after rescue vessels searched. Some sonar logs recorded outline blips resembling human shapes moving in and around the crushed cabin. One diver reported feeling watched, as if something observed every flash of light in the abyss. Here's a twist. Debris recovered includes fragments of a sonar dome, but one piece shows corrosion patterns inconsistent with 6 decades underwater. Fresh wear, as if reactivated recently. Could the submarine's ghost still traverse the depths? Cliffhanger. And what of the unknown noise signatures? Tapping at the hull in hours when no sub should be there? Number 7, RMS Carpathia, the sinking rescuer. When the Titanic sank in April 1912, the RMS Carpathia was first on the scene. rescuing hundreds of survivors. Yet just 2 years later, this hero ship met its own end after colliding with an iceberg during wartime convoy duties. The crew abandoned ship, its remains now rest in Atlantic depths. Survivors claim more. Some report hearing distress calls echoing underwater at the tragic sinking site. Calls that include names of Titanic survivor. Here's a twist. Submersible recordings captured faint piano music, drifting through the wreckage years later. Tape fragments recovered contain sheet music for Titanic-era pieces, music still playing underwater. Cliffhanger, are the souls of Titanic still calling for help? Reliving the final moments at the bottom of the ocean? Number 6. SS Waratah, vanished without a trace. Dubbed the Titanic of the South, the SS Waratah vanished off South Africa's coast in 1909. With all 211 aboard, no debris ever surfaced. Search crews turned up nothing. No wreckage, no life floats, not even a single piece of wood. It was as if the ship had disappeared into leyline waters. Over decades, fishermen have found intact furniture bobbing miles from the presumed site, bearing ship plate numbers stamped with fading names. Here's a twist. In 1932, a group of divers reported finding a passenger's silver locket 13 feet down, engraved with "Remember Me" and a date from 1909, perfectly preserved but missing the passenger. UFO enthusiasts claim to have records of military submarines tracking a steel entity in that region periodically, decades after the disappearance. Number 5. The Mariana Trench screams, the unheard depths. The Mariana Trench is Earth's deepest known point, nearly 11 kilometers below the surface. No light, no warmth, just pressure and silence. Or so we thought. In 1997, NOAA recorded a deep underwater sound, later named the bloop. It was so loud it was heard over 5,000 kilometers away, but it wasn't man-made, and it didn't match any known marine animal. Marine biologists suggest it might be thermal icequake activity, but deep-sea microphones have since picked up rhythmic groans and what appears to be speech patterns beneath even that. Here's a twist. A classified dive mission in 2003 was never fully debriefed. One surviving technician claimed the submarine was followed for 18 minutes by something massive, just outside sonar range, until it vanished behind them. When they resurfaced, parts of the sub's outer shell were warped inward. Cliffhanger. Could an unknown apex predator still lurk in the silent dark? Too deep for our science and too old for our comprehension? Number 4. SS Orang Medan, a floating death ship. In 1947, a distress call came from a Dutch cargo ship. All officers, including captain, are dead, lying in chart room and bridge, possibly whole crew dead. Then silence. When rescue arrived, they found the crew frozen in horror, faces twisted, arms outstretched, as if shielding themselves from something invisible. Here's a twist. Just minutes after investigators boarded, the ship exploded violently, sinking without a trace. Official records are silent, and many suspect a cover-up. Years later, an unmarked container, believed to be from the Orang Medan, was dredged off Indonesia. Inside, scorched furniture, scorched human bones, and one melted yet somehow unburned radio. Its tape played only static except for a second of whispering every time the word Medan was mentioned. Cliffhanger. What happened on that ship? A chemical leak? A curse? Or something that didn't want the story told? Number 3. The Baltic Sea anomaly. Alien ruins or lost civilization. In 2011, Swedish divers using sonar discovered something strange beneath the Baltic Sea. A perfectly circular formation nearly 60 feet wide, with geometric edges and an unmistakable staircase-like pattern. The anomaly appears metallic, with sections sharper than surrounding bedrock, and, here's the kicker, equipment malfunctions every time anyone approaches within 200 meters. Here's a twist. Radiation levels spike unnaturally around the site. Number 2. The Kraken reawakens, Norwegian sea terror. For centuries, sailors told tales of the Kraken, massive tentacled beasts said to pull entire ships under. Most dismissed it as myth, until 2021. Fishermen off the coast of Norway recorded what they thought was a squid until it rose out of the water. 80 feet long, eyes the size of plates, and arms that wrapped around their vessel's stern. They escaped barely, but cameras on board caught everything. Here's a twist. Marine biologists reviewed the footage and concluded this was not a squid. It had features of cephalopods, but with bone plating along its limbs, and no known species matched the profile. The footage was quickly seized by authorities. One scientist went rogue, claiming on a podcast, "If that thing is real, then everything we know about ocean evolution is a lie." Cliffhanger. Could ancient legends be just distorted memories of very real horrors? And if the Kraken never died, what else is out there? Number 1. The Bermuda Triangle, the sea's most terrifying vortex. Planes vanish mid-flight. Ships disappear without distress calls. Compasses spin erratically. The Bermuda Triangle has swallowed more vessels than any other place on Earth. But what's the truth? Some believe it's magnetic anomalies. Others whisper of alien gateways or underwater bases. Here's a twist. In 2023, an experimental Navy drone disappeared over the triangle. Days later, it reappeared fully intact, drifting 800 miles from where it vanished, its memory wiped. However, one embedded sensor had logged something chilling, a sonar shadow, 600 feet tall, trailing behind it for 12 seconds. Its sonar signature? Identical to a World War II battleship, long believed lost in that very spot. Cliffhanger. Is the Bermuda Triangle a graveyard? Or is it alive, feeding, guarding a secret we're not meant to uncover? The final shocking fact. Here's something almost no one knows. In 2018, NASA used deep ocean drones to explore an unexplored Pacific trench. The drones returned with shredded frames and shattered cameras, but one survived, barely. Its last image? A black circular mouth with rows of translucent teeth. Estimated size? 1 mile wide. To this day, NASA has never released that image to the public. Still breathing? If you're one of the brave few who made it to the end, drop a comment. The deep hides more than we can handle, and let us know what terrifying topic we should uncover next. Subscribe, because the ocean's darkness is only just beginning.